Hi, good morning. Welcome to our series of point of sale webinars. And today we're very pleased to be joined by our partners at Roamler, who'll be discussing supporting the impact of your displays in retail. I'm Sarah, I'm your host for the webinar today, and I'd like to introduce you to one of our resident point of sale experts, Andrea. Hi, Andrea.
Hello, pleased to meet everybody. As Sarah said, I'm Andrea. I've been with the Weeding Group for over 15 years now. My particular specialism is point of sale and display. I'm very interested to speak to you today.
Thanks, Andrea. That's brilliant. And our partners at Roamler, James, if you'd like to introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, I'm James Redburn from Roamler UK. I'm a business development manager. I've been with the company around 2 years. And I've got an extensive FMCG background and now working on behalf of Roamler UK.
Brilliant, thanks James. And Martijn?
Yeah, thank you for having us. My name is Martijn Nijhuis. As it says, I started this Roamler adventure a decade ago. I guess we can say we've seen a lot, if not everything, about execution of POS materials. So I'm very happy to be part of this webinar. Thank you.
Fantastic, that's brilliant. Just a bit of housekeeping. We are running a Q&A session today, so if you have any questions, please feel free to jump in. We'll answer them as we go along, but if you prefer, we've got a designated Q&A session right at the end as well. We are recording the webinar today, so we'll send you a link when that's been uploaded. And we're aiming to keep around 30 minutes because we know you're all busy. But if there's anything you want to know that we may have missed, just get in touch after the webinar and we'll be happy to help. Right, Andrea, if I could ask you to start us off with a brief introduction to the Weeding Group, please.
Certainly. So we are the Weeding Group. We are an independent family business based on 2 sites. So we have Weedon PSC based in Staffordshire. That's where we work mainly on display, point of sale, and we also do a lot of our co-packing from that site. Initially from there, we work on retail ready packaging and shelf ready packaging. We also have Weedon Corrugated based in Manchester. That's where we make a lot of our own board grades, which is really great to have our own in-house corrugator in these times of market uncertainty. What that means is that we have control, I guess, over the material supply, which really has stood us in good stead in these strange times. We also have I2Y Europe within the group. So I2Y Europe are our creative and structural design arm. They have implant teams within a couple of the retailers, including Tesco and the Co-op. They're the guys that know the ins and outs of the retailer guidelines, what's going on in the retailers. So they've kind of got their finger on the pulse. And then last but not least, we have Weedon Direct, which is our business to consumer arm. So working directly with the consumer on small amounts of consumer packaging, postal packaging, things like that. So within those sort of 4 business modules, we really can offer an end-to-end solution for pretty much everything you might need.
Fantastic, that's brilliant. Could you talk us through the point of sale process in particular, please?
Yeah, so one of the great things about Weedon and one of the things that I always find so useful for the customer is that we offer an end-to-end solution. So very much probably the customer needs to be focusing on what they do. So whatever it is they make, that's their area of expertise. There can be a lot of noise around a point of sale project when you first get an opportunity. And I always think our job is to take that noise away and make it as simple as possible for the customer really to get their goods in store. So once we've got a brief, our expert team will look at that, understand what the solution to that challenge is, what's the best form of display to house those goods within the within place it's going to. What we'll also do is make sure that it's fit for purpose, so that it has the right palettes, the right artwork, all the bits and bobs that the retailer require. And each retailer, as you know, in the UK, it's a bit of a box of frogs. Each retailer has their own requirements, their own rules and regulations on what you can and can't do. So it's kind of our job to know all those things so that our customers don't have to. So we'll make sure that it's fit for purpose, that it's got all the right bits and bobs, that the artwork's compliant, and that we know 100% it's going to flow correctly through the customer supply chain. And then what we do is move to manufacture, which is all approved and transit trialed, and we know it's safe. As touched on earlier, we've got our own in-house corrugator, so we're pretty sure we're going to have some material to make out of, which years ago would have not even been a consideration, but at the minute it's really important that we have that. So we print, die, cut, assemble. As I touched on, we are real experts in co-packing. So I would say these days 80 to 90% of the work we do is co-packed. So when I say co-packed, filled with product and delivered direct to the retailer, if you like, a big box of product. It's a real area of expertise. It's a real skill to make sure that it's packed correctly and arrives safely at the retailer. So they literally take the box off and away it can go in store. And last but not least, we can arrange the logistics side. So we can distribute direct to store, direct to the retailer, or if you like, we can send all the parts to you to assemble, pack yourselves and ship in. So from concept to the end of manufacture, we can handle all that. But I guess where our partnership with Romler comes in and squares the circle, if you like, is that once it gets to store, very much like a child, you've prepared it for its life, you've sent it away, but then you can't control what happens to it at store level. And that's the uncontrollable that our partnership with Romler helps us to do. So we very much can get it to store for you, but anything could happen to it then. So that's where Romler come in.
Yeah, well, thanks for that interesting bridge, Andrea. It's exactly that. It's one of the key reasons that we started this company 10 years ago is at least in the retail space to see, you know, how all the investments that go into retail really get justified and really lead to an execution that makes sense. And I mean, we've experienced retail as, let's say, one big black box. And we had to find a way to help FMCG, but also retail, to understand what's happening actually in that black box. And therefore, we have come up with a crowdsourced methodology. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on that. But one of the key things is exactly that we help companies, mostly FMCG, but also retailers, to really understand what's happening in retail spaces on a very, say, large scale. So we cover all the markets in Europe that you see highlighted here. And in all these markets, we have a complete geographic coverage where we can, with a press on the button, visit outlets and to check whatever you find is interesting when it comes to execution. And we're very proud to, well, in the past 10 years, have grown to a business that has been working for most of the leading brands. And I think when it comes to retail execution, there's little to no surprises for us anymore in this space.
That's fantastic. Thank you. So, James, if you want to start us off, supporting the impact of your displays in retail.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose it prompts the question, why is it important to really support your displays in retail? And it comes back to that point that Andrea said earlier around keeping control and controlling the controllable. Within that, you know, we live in a world where value and disrupting shoppers is really key to every brand in FMCG and in other retail spaces at the moment. So I think the key thing to call out is, you know, if you've spent money on a campaign, if you've invested in a promotion, if you've invested in point of sale material, why would you not control the last piece of that, which is what we help you do as Romler. I think some key stats to pull out on this page really are the fact that based on our data, compliance is only around 65% days 1 to 3. So initially you might say, okay, well, if this was an MPD product that's running on main aisle, that's okay, or that will be fixed over time. But the promotions, as we all know, are often time sensitive, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So what proportion of stores are you either not getting distribution in or not getting compliant distribution with that 65% is the first question, and that's only an average, so it could be worse, could be better on occasions. And I think the other thing to pull out is how important are promotions for the brands. Well, you know, if you look at this stat at the bottom here, it talks around sales volume by product category in the UK based on promotion. And this is all promotions, so it's not just off location, but it's all promotions. But in terms of that, you can see that's as high as 64% and only goes down to 39%. So it's a massive proportion of brands' revenue come from promotions. So why would you not invest in this, and why would you not bolster this? But by really, you know, getting feet on the ground in store and making sure that your product is disruptive in the right place and it's doing everything you want it to do to generate the sell-through rate.
Absolutely. I mean, it's really important to ensure that the execution is on point, but what's the cost of not investing in shipper execution once in store?
Yeah, I think it's all around the opportunity cost of not investing as well. So it's not just a cost of not investing, it's the opportunity cost. So you've invested X in a campaign. So whether that's advertising, whether that is directly with the retailer, whether that is in surplus supply, whatever that looks like, you know, that's a risk at the same time. So it's the opportunity cost of not doing this final piece where you've invested in the point of sale materials as well to actually make sure they're executed, because it's only as good as your in-store execution, any promotion. And I think the key thing to say here is again around flexibility and speed to market. So as I said on the last slide, days 1 to 3 are imperative to make sure that you maximize longevity and time frame of the promotion, and that's something we at Roma take really seriously. So we really focus on increasing speed to market on promotions. So our record is in the UK is around 450 stores in one day. Wow. And that's setting up units. So you know, so it's really important that we get out there quick, we get this set up for you, and you start this promotion well, because it's going to set you up for success. So yeah, I think those are the key points around this.
I think that speed is really important, because as you say, you know, your promotion might only be in store for a week or 2 weeks, and if you lose 2 or 3 days with a traditional agency where they're, you know, setting things up, and you literally half of your promotion is gone before you've even got any feet on the street. So that's massive for us to have that speed of response, whether it's because heaven forbid something's not quite right, or just because you need to change the promotion slightly because maybe something's not working, or I know changing circumstances for a changeable world, and you need to just make a tweak to the promotion. Just having that speed is massive for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Martijn, if you could just explain a little bit about how you do it, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so as I just said, a decade ago, we started this adventure, and back then it was quite a new and innovative space, which was referred to as crowdsourcing. And probably we've all heard this terminology of crowdsourcing, but it comes with so many explanations that we try to get rid of that word and go more into flexible working, or maybe the gig economy, as people know. And it's interesting to see what has been happening in the past, say, decade, because both from a, say, employer's point of view, but also from an employee point of view, there was an increasing demand, and there is still an increasing demand on, say, flexibility. And the platform initiatives, like you see here, but I think the best known platform initiative still is Uber. We all know that. They have played an important role in facilitating this flexibility, both for the people that actually do the work, but also for the people that have to organize all their work efficiently. We as Roamler have started working in the retail space, and there we, as Andrea just told us, we bring a couple of big advantages of organizing work in a crowd-based fashion, or in a platform fashion, and one of those is speed and flexibility. But speed is really a key thing. If you go to the next one, Sarah, so it's actually a very easy process that we facilitate with our company, and this is a process that you will see in many other, say, crowdsourcing concepts as well. It's all technology driven, app driven, basically. People have access to our platform through an app on their smartphone. And in that app, they will see all sorts of tasks that they can execute in their vicinity. And this is an important aspect. Everything is organized proximity based. So we have people around all your points of interest at all times. We know that, that's our job. Now, once somebody in the vicinity of such a point of interest wants to book a task, they simply select the task, they book it, and then within a certain threshold, couple of hours, they need to execute that task. And once executed, and that can be, say, very easy, find a FSDU, see if it's there, see if it's properly replenished, or a bit more complex, check a couple of KPIs on the shelf, on the key fixture, on the main fixture. Once they have followed those instructions, executed the task, they complete it, submit it, and then a next set of eyes, people employed by Roamler themselves, they will validate the entry, both the images that they collected and the data points. And if we say, well, this is a good submission, then we accept it. The people that have executed the task receive their payment. and our clients receive the data in, say, online dashboards. And this is really a very speedy process. To give an example, if we put a project live, the first results can drip in your online portal within a couple of hours, seriously. So when it comes to POS execution, and this is where speed comes in again, if you have only 2 weeks to, maximize the profit of your promotion, then it makes sense that in the first, say, 2-3 days, you really get a good understanding of the execution, so you can still intervene during your promotion to increase the effect of it. And this is only one piece, but since we only got 30 minutes and I can talk for ages about this baby.
Yeah.
Just to jump in there, how do you make sure that the right people are doing the right jobs?
Yeah, so there's a couple of, say, selection elements in it. So if you want to become part of our crowd and really active, you have to complete a training program. So we know that you can speak and write your native language well, you're willing to go the extra mile, you're willing to follow up on instructions that we give you. And once you have completed that training program, we consider you skilled enough to start doing, say, the low-end tasks. Now, if we have more complex challenges in store, then we facilitate additional online training, all facilitated in the app. So only people that have successfully committed or completed that training, they can take part in that more complex activity. So it's all pretty remotely organized, which really gives also, of course, nice financial benefits to our clients.
Absolutely.
I can verify it's actually quite a rigorous selection criteria. I actually tried to become a roller just to understand the process, and I think I fell down. I think it was the commitment bit where I fell down. The first couple of tests are quite easy, and then the commitment to becoming a roller becomes a bit more complicated, and I think that was where I was weeded out. So it is quite a rigorous process.
Well, truth be told, Andrea, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
In fact, roughly 75% of the people that download the app do not enter the next level of being part of the community. And the reason behind it is simple. If people hear, through their friends and family, hey, there's an app that can make you money, they expect that they download the app and they have money in their account, which is not the case, right? This is a serious thing.
Yeah, it's rigorous.
Our clients ask for serious insights, well validated and high quality data. So therefore we need these trainings.
Absolutely. And you cover the whole of the UK as well, don't you?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant. So what would it look like end to end from us producing the point of sale unit to you guys executing it for the customer? How would that flow? James, could you cover that for us, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So this depiction just kind of talks you through what Martin just explained there, but in a little bit more detail. So for example, if we're working with the likes of Whedon, who have built the POS on behalf of the brand, they would then execute that and send it direct to store or to our roamers. So there's 2 ways we can do it. Number 1, you send it direct to store. We go into the store and get it. Number 2, you send it direct to the roamers. Depends on the brand's preference. We tend to send it direct to store for the simple reason that allows the vicinity of our model to work more effectively, and you get the cost benefits of that. I'm working with a partner such as Sweden anyway. They're very rigorous and they know all the processes, so we find the unit, in probably upwards of 97-98% of occasions. In terms of what happens then, Roamer would receive a POD. So assuming that the task is built and aligned on with the client, so we know when the stock's being delivered in terms of date. So we're really aligned on dates, and we're aligned on, for example, the exact build with Whedon. So what we need to do in store. So whether it's a cardboard unit, whether it's a pre-filled chipper, whether it's something where we need some tools or utensils, we've done those before, whereby we've had to take in a small Allen key and we've just briefed the crowd. And to Martin's point, we've really used our if you like, Roamler pros, who are the people who've been in the crowd a long time and who have a more extensive skill set, and train them within the app before doing that. Those people then would go into store, but before that, what happens is we'll receive a POD direct from, for example, the logistics partner. So in this case, Whedon's would share the PODs, and we can instantaneously make that live in an app. So it's not like a traditional agency where, for example, they need to book 150 people for a given day and they can't be flexible and agile around that. we can. So if we've got 145 PODs and 5 weren't delivered and they're going to be delivered the day after, for some reason there's been an issue, a blowout on said lorry, Roamler can basically be reactive to that and go, okay, well, we just won't open those 5 locations because it's wasted visits. Equally as well, if some get delivered early, we can go in and implement them. I think it's really important to say that, you know, our record between receiving those PODs and actually building a unit is just 15 minutes. So that, you know, when we talk about maximizing your ROI on spend on a promotion and longevity, doesn't really get much better than that in our opinion. So someone goes in and installs the display, the unit is there, or you know any issues. And I think that's something else to point out is in terms of insights, because of our live reporting and the way it works, you know any issues. So if we aren't finding stock in a given region, maybe there's been an issue with a DC, for example, that needs pushing back, or an order needs pushing out to a given number of stores, or there's resistance from a number of stores. Maybe that's something the brand needs to contact their buyer about, because there's clearly an issue. But what we do is we give you the immediacy of that, which again, just going back to that point of longevity and how short promotions tend to be, but how much of a revenue driver they are and how disruptive they are. It's really important that you know that on day 1 or 2.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, James, you touched on it very briefly. There are traditional field marketing agencies out there. What is it that makes Roamler different?
Yeah, so I'll hand this over to Martin because he's probably best placed to take this one.
Yeah, so if you start comparing, say, our flexible setup with more traditional setup, let me first state that we need to deliver the exact same, say, quality and service that you are used to from a traditional perspective. But through the way that we are organized, we have a couple of benefits that only we can offer to the market. We already talked about, say, the speed. We can actually activate people with a press on a button. Seriously, we can also deactivate that, which is a big thing, because that makes us pretty flexible also to the agenda of our clients. There have been many examples that a promotional campaign should take place, but for whatever reason, timings changed. So last minute, we had to either stop or start a project. I think that's one of the key benefits that we have compared to having scheduled a bunch of people and having to charge that to your clients. Now, what you see here as well is that we do not have the intention to replace existing field teams, but we can be very complementary to them when it comes to coverage of your, say, interesting outlets. As you just stated, we are everywhere in the UK, so we can also visit at a lower cost outlets that may not be very relevant for you to visit with your own people, because it's simply too expensive to do so. And another, say, coverage part more has to do with timings. We work 7 days a week from, say, 8 a.m. till 9 p.m. That also covers your high traffic or peak traffic hours in retail. What we see a lot happening is that we have to do a lot of auditing work, especially through, say, Thursday through to Saturday, because that still is the peak shopping time. And also by the end of the day, where, say, traditional offices close, but we can still work for you guys and gain valuable insights. So I think, to mention a few, it's the coverage in terms of geo, it's the coverage in terms of timings, and it's the speed of activation that really differs from a traditional setup.
That's brilliant. And I know there are some more fantastic benefits of working this way as well, aren't there?
Yeah, and those are more, well, I tend to call them side benefits, but actually it's not side benefits. It's very, very important. So I mentioned a few times, we are completely organized proximity based, which means that if we have to visit an outlet for you guys or for any other customer, we know that we have somebody nearby, which really saves a lot of mileage. We've done a couple of exercises in the platform because we've done millions of tasks already across Europe. And without being this an academic number, we know that we save roughly 7 kilometers per visit that we do in the field. Wow. Now, 7 kilometers is not a lot, but if you multiply that by 1 to 1.5 million visits every year, then you're talking about massive savings on the carbon footprint. So this way of working really is a more sustainable way of working compared to, say, the traditional organized way. Now, on top, we have also committed ourselves to a very interesting project, which is pretty much in line with, you know, giving opportunities to a crowd. In this sense, we are giving opportunities to girls in India to give them a proper education and a roof over their head so that they have a sustainable future. And the third one that you see here, and this is also very important, by organizing work, say, platform-based, and this is not only applicable to Roma, but basically to all platform initiatives, you qualify people on skills and on availability, and that's it. So it's a complete, say, non-discriminated way of organizing work. And even in the day, in the times that we live in today, there's still a lot of that around, so in discrimination, and we're very proud to say that this is not the case in a platform structure. So yeah, we are very happy to also bring this to life.
That's fantastic. That was really interesting. That was great, thank you. We've got about 3 minutes left for the half an hour. So we'll move on to a Q&A. I know we'll have some questions, so I'll get started with a couple. What's the average take-up on tasks in the first 24 hours?
So yeah, I'll take that one. So in terms of the average take-up, well, it says dense or as non-dense as we need it to be. So if we've only got 24 hours to do the task, we'll really focus on that task and make it a focused task so we can really drive efficiency so we get it done in 24 hours if it's absolutely essential. But if, for example, some clients will come to us and say, we've got an FSDU going live, but it's going to be in store for 3 weeks. We want you to visit any time between in the first 72 or 96 hours, for example. So in terms of looking at that, though, we would still actively promote it and really drive it on day one because we want to get ahead of this.
Sure.
So it's hard to say without having an exacting time frame because we don't just let tasks run indefinitely and hope that they happen. We work within the client's parameters.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a little bit chicken and egg in that sense.
Yeah,
it's great that you can control it to such minute, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one, do you also work in independent stores or is it just the multiples?
Yeah, so we work fully in independent stores as well as the major malts. I suppose it's worth saying that we focused heavily here really on, I guess, a generic proposition of FSDUs, which may be more centrally agreed with grocers. But we also do this across independents, out of home channel as well. We've recently actually acquired a business called Datlink, who have a database of 3.5 million out-of-home locations across Europe. So in terms of not just working in those stores, we can really help people know where to go and which locations to select based on criteria as well. A little bit more detail, and I don't want to go down that merry path too much, but at the same time, I suppose the answer is we will work exactly where you need us to be. So depending on the sector, depending on what the customer needs, we will select the right people to work in that sector.
That's brilliant. I think we've got time for one more. I already work with the Whedon Group. Can you arrange this support via Roma directly? So I don't know if that's one for you, Andrea.
Yeah. So we can work any way you like. We're happy to manage that as a single point of contact if it's easier for you. But we're also happy to hook you up with the guys at Roma and you can work with them directly. So we're fully flexible. It's just a partnership that works really well. We're happy for you to approach it whichever suits you.
Fantastic, that's brilliant. Right, we'll have to wrap it up there, but if you've got any questions that weren't covered today, or if you want to know more, just drop us a line or give us a call. Our contact details are on the website. And I just want to say a big thank you to our panelists, Andrea, James and Martijn.
Thank you.
It's been brilliant. I've learned a lot, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today as well. I hope you found it interesting, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.